February 12, 2024. This is the S&P 500 E-Futures Mini on the 2000 tick chart using the NinjaTrader 8 platform. This is how I saw the charts today. It looked like kind of an M configuration. There wasn't any economic data to really move the markets. Initially, after the first hour, or during the first hour of regular trading hours, it looked like it was going to be range bound. Then there was this very big sharp rally, consolidation, and then two legs back down, and it kind of ended in another consolidation. Took a total of 2 trades today. I won one and lost one. There weren't too many setups I could find, despite the fact that they look like if you get on one of these big legs, you would have gotten a really great trade. Except trying to get on one of these legs wasn't too easy. I didn't see too many setups. So let's get into the trades right now. For the pre-market, you could already tell there wasn't that much volume. And this range is rather tight. It's like 50.45 to about 50.40. So there's only 5 points of range. So even though it looks like there's a lot of movement, it depends on how zoomed in you were. So it's actually pretty tight trading. And after the first hour, it was just still within this range. I didn't really see any good setups. Then I'm not really sure if there was any news or anything that came out, but then the market just kind of started a slow grind up. But on the slow grind up, I didn't see any good entries. There's a lot of little candles here, so if you could have found a decent trend line, which I thought I found on this yellow one, you could maybe go with the trend and take a trade. But unfortunately, the EMA was pretty far below, and the trend line didn't fit quite well to have a good bounce and touch off of it. So here, I just wasn't able to find a good entry. Right, so then just keep moving. You only have first entries here. There's a overshoot here. It continues moving up. So I was at one time debating whether the range might actually be higher here or to keep it back down here. It felt like it was a little bit better down here because this overshoot kind of shot up, and I tried to make another panel fit, but it didn't quite look right. So I did have this at one point. It had broke out. There's still only a first entry here. Here creates a second entry. Here creates a second entry long that fails. And that's what I called an almost setup, because this signal bar pretty much engulfed the entire previous candle here, and it's coming from an overshoot, so you're thinking it might come back down to this side. However, this overshoot didn't react like a typical overshoot, didn't flash back through into this trading range. It kind of dwelled and consolidated horizontally. So that tells me this isn't a very strong there's a strong overshoot, but it's not a strong typical setup because it could be setting up for another leg up. Well, even though it's a failed second entry long here with one tick below, I felt this was a little bit tricky. So it's like an almost setup. I just wanted to wait for a lower high confirmation. Unfortunately, you don't really get a lower high, but this trade ended up working. I was also a little bit concerned that the EMA was floating up and it could act as a little bit of a bounce point, but here it didn't quite do that. Price then continue moving. I saw a second entry short here. It's a new low. It's a first entry short, pull back. This is where the second entry short was confirmed. It's a good signal bar. It's a potential triple test because you try to push up once, twice, 3 times. And the signal bar is decent in that it's rather small, so the risk is low. You're potentially at the top of a trading range, but at the time, I wasn't sure the trading range was here, and this is two overshoots from the bottom, or it was actually lower. Actually, also when I had it here, because early on, back to the previous trade, the way I had it drawn, I was thinking I'm at the low of the trading range, so there's a good reason for it to potentially bounce. Of course, you don't know that it was going to flash through until after the fact. And then when I saw this, I actually dragged this down a little bit lower, and I thought, okay, there's actually a two-tier trading range. This could be a potential trade, but I was thinking EMA is also starting to move up, so I'm thinking it might have been the first idea that I had. It's one leg up, consolidation. It's getting ready to flash a second leg up, so I just leave it alone. Kind of consolidate, you'd have to live through this chop. So if you first entry short, second entry short, you'd almost get stopped out, survive, and then it end up working for you. But when I see things like that, after this consolidation, I think I might have considered just getting out break even after these 4 doji candles in a row. Then prices break through, it consolidates in this lower section, breaks back above the EMA. It's a little confusing. Flashes up, makes one leg up, push back, second leg up, and then it starts to fail and it comes right back down. Unfortunately, I don't see a good entry point to go short. Technically, if a new low here, it's a first entry short. Second entry short, had you shorted here, you would have gotten stopped out. Plus, shorting here at this time in the trading, you're not really sure what's happening. It looks like there's such a strong bullish uptrend from historical price action that it's a little bit hard to convince myself to go short. Then when I see this, okay, it works out. Then you're thinking maybe it's a failed second entry short. But again, it's a little bit iffy. It just happened side by side, so I left it alone. As I said, prices then start moving down. I only see a first entry long here. Technically, you have a second entry long here, but it's kind of the low. There's no real other indicator to tell you to go long. You just have to kind of go on a hunch. It is the break of this green channel. Tested the lows, 2 pushes down, but to assume that it's going to reverse and move prices back up, it's a little bit questionable. Prices then continue moving down. It breaks out of this yellow channel, starts consolidating. I saw 2 legs up, 1 push up, pull back, second push up. I didn't have this green channel drawn at the time, and this is actually where I got trapped. So it's a new low, it's a first entry short, pull back, second entry short, confirm second entry short. I thought if this had been a bearish bar, it would have been a good setup. Then I saw this and I thought this was a lower high. So I thought, okay, well, this is a potential short entry. So I made a mistake. I didn't get trapped. This is my profitable trade. In the second trade, I got trapped. So this is just barely got out in time because I saw this as a lower high. When it broke 1 tick below, I entered. And at the last few ticks, it pushed back up and closed as doji. So this made me wonder if I actually got trapped. Turned out it let me get my 1 point scalp, but if I stayed any longer, it would have reversed on me and potentially stopped me out if I kept my stop 1 tick above here. Or if I kept my stop 1 tick above here, I would have been okay. So I was able to quickly get a scalp, and I was lucky on that one. Prices then continue moving down. It creates and makes this measured leg, 1 leg down, pushback. Second leg down, it completely disregards pre-market highs and lows. So after these 2 legs down, I saw this and I was wondering whether prices would start to correct or show a small correction, not a full-blown reversal. It does start correcting, but I didn't see an entry. Technically, you have a first entry short, second entry short. This isn't a very good signal bar to go short on. Hops around, it just kind of consolidates. I drew this. I couldn't get this to quite make a channel, but I did draw this as a potential resistance trend line moving down. I saw this. If it kind of doesn't respect it, moves up, it continues. So then I thought there's a trading range here. So I switched over to kind of range rules. To overshoot here is a fail breakout, first entry short, potentially a second entry short. If this signal bar been a little bit better, I think that would have been a reasonable trade here. But since it kind of moved back up a little bit, I needed this bar to come down and close lower for me to get ready to take a trade on this bar. Fortunately, it didn't happen, so I had to skip it. Price is then chopped, flashes down. I don't see a good entry yet. This is the trade that I got trapped on. So I saw this as a new low. There's some kind of support here. Made a first entry short, pull back, second entry short. And here I'm thinking it's going to create a failed second entry short. So it's first entry short, pull back, second entry short right here. Because technically this candle didn't break below this one. So it's 1, 2. Made a double matching top. And I'm thinking, okay, this is going to create a failure. I waited for this candle to close. I took this trade, and in hindsight, this wasn't really a good trade to have taken. I was thinking first entry short, second entry short, bounce off the EMA. I didn't think there was a resistance here. I didn't have this blue line drawn yet. I did have this trading range, and I was thinking prices are coming back up. It might be bottoming here and pushing back upwards because technically it didn't test the lows of this yellow channel, but I did see it as one attempt down, right around here, maybe a second attempt down. So I was thinking maybe it's 1 push up. This could be the start of a second push up and out. And unfortunately, had I drawn this resistance here, I think I might have taken a little bit of a little more time to think about whether this is a good trade or not, especially after this close. This is a little bit too neutral to trust that prices are going to come back up, especially on a failure setup. So I took the entry 1 tick, actually at the same highs here, and I was stopped out right here. Now, as this was forming, as it was having the EMA kind of hold, when this came about, I drew this trading range, and that's what I thought, okay, I definitely bought it at the highs of the trading range, potential range. Even though it was a break of the screen channel, it already tested the highs here. But when I saw this, I thought it was going to push even higher. There's no real reason to think that, but that's what I thought. And as this was consolidating and the EMA was kind of holding, that gave me confidence to not take the break even exit, but maybe wait to see if it'll push back up. And unfortunately, it flashes down, takes me out. Now, I kept my stop one tick below these two, which is right here. You know, if I kept it below this one, which is at the time hard for me to argue to do that because if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But in this case, it would have worked out. However, I think I did the right thing to just take the loss because even if I put it one tick below this guy or even this guy, that's a very big risk to reward. And most of the time, if it failed, you know, I would have just gotten a bigger loss. So this wasn't even a good setup in the first place to have taken this trade. So it's better that I just take the loss and move on. Unfortunately, as you can see, it kind of goes up and I probably would have gotten my scalp. I also saw a new low here. It's a first entry short, second entry short. It's a decent second entry short. It's at also potential fail breakout, top of the range. Unfortunately, this is so late in the day. There's already like only 10 minutes left. And then prices just kind of move into the close. So this setup, had it been at a different time of day with more time, not in the last 10 minutes, I think this is a trade worth taking. But since it was pretty much with 10 minutes left, it's a trade I had to skip. And I didn't, as I said, I didn't see too many setups today. It was a rather slow day, similar to what was happening last week. So I had to be extra careful, I think, especially tomorrow. If I'm seeing the same characteristic, like the pre-market's really slow, things are just kind of slugging along, then it's probably something I have to be extra cautious of. So this trade, you know, I think wasn't well thought out. This trade was a little bit luckier. And overall, it was just kind of a really slow grinding day like it's been for the last, I don't know, couple of weeks. So hopefully that was helpful.